Hello friends, I'm going to introduce you to an application that we have been developing on Python. I'm going to execute it, and when you see coming out is a graphical user interface that we have devised to make some experiments, some numerical experiments for the Greek economy. One of the things that has been told to all of us is that Greece, one of the things that needed was the German tax code. Well, with this application, one of the things that we're going to show you is that this is not exactly correct. So what we have done is just to parameterize the Greek economy, dividing in four different panels what is the parameters for the government, the preference parameters of the Greek consumer, and the technological parameters for Greece, as well as the environment for Greece. Okay. These parameters are taxes on capital, labor, VAT, social security tax, as well as the corporate tax, and four forms of government expenditure. We have government consumption, wages, the wage bill paid to the civil servants in Greece, investment, and finally what we have here is transfers. Okay. In the preference parameters, we have this panel is divided in two. Gamma and beta are the values for the consumer. Beta is the discount for utility, and gamma is the preference on consumption over leisure. And here these two other parameters are the parameters for the unions. So the public sector is assumed to be unionized, and these unions have to decide how to allocate the wage bill allocated by the government into wages and employment. So these parameters just control that in order to get the values observed for Greece in the good times. Then finally we have technology parameters, that is Cobb-Douglas with a nested CES function for public and private labor. And we have the total factor productivity parameter, and two deltas that are the depreciation rates for private and public capital respectively. And here we have the environment, the debt environment of the Greek government, where you can have that it had a quite bulky debt, 110% of GDP, and the value of the bond. Okay, so one of the things we can do is just to run an experiment here with these values, and here what we get is in fact the expenditure to GDP that it was in the years 2002-2006. As you can see that we can calibrate this economy as a steady state. Here you can see that it was about 45% of total GDP, and total debt was around 10% of GDP. Okay, so then what happens is that after these years, then you have the shock, you know, this second Great Depression shock, and what you get is that the contraction of output makes this automatic expansion of the government. Okay, so one of the things that we can see here we have debt to GDP, and here we have expenditures to GDP, public government expenditures to GDP. So this line can be thought of as long-term debt constraint or budget constraint for the government. So one of the things that we can do, one of the experiments we can do is that to change the parameter values of the Greek economy to put here the public parameters of the German economy. So now we are going to change the taus and the ways that the budget is distributed in the economy. We are going to just load these values with Germany while keeping the rest of values constant. So this would be something like running an experiment where the Greek economy, with the Greek consumers, the Greek technology, and the Greek environment, faces the German tax code. So then we go to load government, we load Germany, and we have now that only these values have changed. So now we can just run the experiment again, and in running this experiment in some seconds, in almost 1 second, what we observe is that Greece with the German code would have been incapable of financing their expenditures in the good years. Okay, so then this is just a clear indication that in fact that is not the solution. Alternatively, what we are going to do now is just to restore the Greek parameters, and now we are going to endow Greece with the German technology and see what happens. We are going to load in technology, we're going to load the German technology. Now only these values have changed, and we can now run the experiment again. And what do we see? Wow, no surprise. What we get is that in fact Greece should imitate German industry, not the German government. So more experiments in these channels very soon. Thank you very much for attending. Bye.